Hi, I'm Tim Taylor. I want to give you a little update about what's happening with our orphans over in Burma. So what I've done here is I've actually put together a few pictures from our trip in 2019 that I wanted to share with you. I was just kind of curious if anybody would like to receive an email with a PDF file of these, their pics. If you'd like, I'd be happy to send it to you. There's a few more children than were in 2019 now. But this is just a look at some of the children, their faces. We had such a blast when we were there. Another picture, fun. Here's a picture too from New Year's Day, January 2022. And the thing is I received this on the morning of. Unbeknownst to them at the time, the place where the prayer center was located that John Mark helped us plant so many years ago was being bombed. And that's where some of his family lives, in the village next to it. And so while they were celebrating and having a wonderful meal, which I would say it was brought in partially because of the support that comes through folks that are partnering with us. They were able to treat the children to a wonderful meal on New Year's Day. But unbeknownst to them, at the same time they were experiencing this, the house of prayer was being bombed, and the village was being bombed and burned. And it was only a day later or two that they ended up with their orphanage being overrun with numerous family members who had been made refugees. And so that's the condition of what's over there. Now, I don't share a whole lot about the communication that we have, but I do want to share with you some because these guys it's truly like it's a war over there. And the oppression and evil is horrendous. And I want to share with you a few reports I got, like things like 2 days ago, the 60-millimeter bomb falls in front of my father-in-law's house, but did not blast. Now the Revolution Arms Group has removed it. Bombs fall on many houses during the war and shooting nowadays. We're so scared. Many houses are damaged and people inside the homes are killed. Please pray for our safety. It goes on to say my father-in-law is a pastor who was staying with us. It was God's protection. And last night was really terrible inside his city for nearly 2.5 hours, bombing and shooting with big machine guns. It was horrible. And I could go on down sharing a variety of things. But it also talks about some of the people from the Free Burma Rangers that was killed in this conflict. And I wanted to share with you this one article because he says this is unbelievable. And this is a report from the Chindwin News Agency saying this: the price of rice has skyrocketed to more than 90,000 cats for a bag of rice, while the price in some townships is reaching up to 100,000 cats for a bag of rice in Yangon, the largest city of Myanmar. Yangon was changed to Yangon. It used to be called Rangoon when it was called Burma. The military junta is the one who changed the name from Burma to Myanmar. This is the unprecedented increase compared to the price early in the coup in February 2021. As people bought a bag of rice at around 35,000 cats. But ever since they started doing this, the price, they're experiencing inflation there like crazy because candidly, the junta is also using it as one of the tools to manipulate and control the population. It's a visible sign. It says it's a visible sign the country is being plunged into total collapse and everything is out of control at the moment, said a local businessman in Yangon. And this is what they're experiencing regularly. And so it's hard to even imagine what that's like. And then this is another communication I got this morning about this little guy that fell down and he bumped his head and ended up having to go to the hospital. And he's asking us to pray with him, pray for him. Had to get stitches and everything like that. So if you can imagine, and I would like to invite you to pray with us for them. On one hand, it's so challenging because we hear about the sicknesses, we hear about the challenge with food, we hear about the oppression, we hear about things like them going to the hospital and even being in the hospital and having to duck behind cover because of the gunfire that's outside the hospital. I mean, it's just insane. It's hard to even imagine things like that, but that's what they live under. And for John Mark and his family, they're caring for these children. Their family has grown so much. They have these orphans, and now they have also other family members that look to them for care and stuff. So you can imagine the weight of concern that's upon them. Now, that being said, I heard from him the other day how his brother had gone back to check on their home in this place where the house of prayer was. And he got separated from his family because at the last moment, excuse me, the military junta showed up, about 150 showed up, and his brother has some health issues and he couldn't run. Anyway, his family ran, got to safety, but his brother had to walk. And it turns out his brother was shot at, but they missed him. And he showed up about 36 hours later. So we're very grateful he's safe. And then I shared with you the testimony about there was a 60-millimeter mortar that landed in front of his father-in-law's house, but it didn't explode. I share all this to say this. We've been praying Psalm 91 for so long. We've been praying Isaiah 4, 3 through 6 for so long for them. And God has protected them, sheltered them, even though sometimes the fighting and bombing has got within 40 yards of them. God has protected them. And so we're so very grateful. And I want to thank you. I want to say there's a blessing for everyone who has participated a month in aid. But their budget grew by 5 times, and ever since January, when they received all the refugees, God has moved through so many of you where we've been able to meet their every single need every month. And we're so humbled and so grateful, sometimes even extra. Sometimes the hospital costs come up, whatever. But God's been moving upon your heart where he's tugged at your heart. You've prayed and responded. And I'm very grateful to say that all their needs have been met thus far. They've shared their concerns. Please continue to pray with us. Again, if you would like a copy of the picture of the kids, let us know. I'll be happy to email you a PDF copy of that.